And then on the final day, we got to use the Phantom camera, which shoots at 1,000 frames a second. So no one had ever shot that before. So we get to be up in the air with these planes and get to look at some of these maneuvers, at 1,000 frames a second, which means a 10-second clip takes 6 minutes. So obviously we're not going to play the whole 10 seconds, but just the small little pieces you see, it's really just a beautiful shot. It really is great.
So you're getting stuff that's never been done before, as far as
doing absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, unprecedented access to not only the preparation and everything, but to in the air with them as well. Yes.
Battleline Podcast, guys, this is awesome. This is an exclusive interview with Paul Crowder, director of the Blue Angels. If you're someone like myself, probably someone like Chris, loves going to air shows, loves seeing the Blue Angels. I mean, there's no way in hell you're going to get me into one of those planes, even if I had the opportunity. So this is the closest you're going to get, is seeing what Paul shot for IMAX. And I'm just amped to see what they do with this, because film has come such a long way. And you'll hear what they went through to shoot this thing, and it sounds like it's going to be angles you have never seen before, and you're going to be as close as you can get.
And IMAX is, when we lived in Omaha, we were members of the Omaha Dorley Zoo, and they had an IMAX theater there, and it's different experience. It is.
Yeah.
Seeing anything in IMAX is just, it is like you're almost there, whether you're watching the like going on through the Serengeti, or you're in the Arctic, or there was even this silly seal thing I watched, but it was still it was still cool. It wasn't exciting. It was like, man, I feel like I'm really there. So I can't even imagine what it's going to be like where you're seeing, and you're in the Blue Angel cockpit and you're flying in IMAX. I think you're really going to feel like you're in the cockpit. So get ready to grunt and stuff, because you're gonna start feeling those G's, man. Then when you're watching it, it's gonna be special in IMAX. So do go see it in IMAX, guys. That's where you're gonna get the best experience by far. And I can't say enough. I'm excited. I just got to find an IMAX because I'm not in Omaha anymore.
Yeah, do you have to drive all the way to like Kansas City? Or something?
Kansas City. I mean,
wow, which is pretty far for you, because I've done it, as you know. But
but
you know what? I didn't get a chance to ask Paul, but like that Sphere in Vegas, imagine if they could have showed it there.
Wow,
that would be amazing. But I'm sure. I don't know what the process would be, but I feel like that would be the ultimate. But yeah, go see it when it comes out, guys. Hey, next week we're going to do a guest-free episode. So if you've ever had a question for Chris, ever had a question for myself, ever had a comment for the show, write it in battlelinepodcast@gmail.com. We haven't done one of these in a very long time, so send over your questions, battlelinepodcast@gmail.com. Before we get into this interview with Paul Crowder, Ned is the best supplement brand for recovery supplements, whether it's the Mellow Magnesium, CBD, or also, of course, that relief balm, the pain relief balm, which is a really great mix of menthol and CBD. And yeah, so many great supplements there. I should also mention the Brain Blend, which is great for focus, for cognitive function. It's something that I take regularly, and I just love all of their stuff. So check it all out. HelloNed.com/Battleline, or add the code Battleline at checkout. That's HELLONED.com/Battleline. All of their stuff is from Colorado, so you're not getting this imported CBD from China, where God knows what's going into your body. You could trust them, and that's why they've been with us for so long. So once again, guys, HELLONED.com/Battleline, HelloNed.com/Battleline.
From Kansas City to New York City, from planet Earth to extraterrestrial life in space, a podcast with no equal, engaged in unconventional warfare through your speakers and headphones. This is a show about embracing the suck, conquering your demons, and finding God in the face of adversity. Chris Tonto Peranto.
Switch is on. Motherfucker, I'm gonna shoot you in the face.
Ian Scotto.
You know, Ian and I have been dating for a long time.
You are now tuned into the Battleline Podcast.
The switch is on. Battle Line Podcast. Really excited to be joined by Paul Crowder, director of Blue Angels, exclusively in IMAX theaters, May 17th. You guys may know Paul from his work on Dogtown, Z Boys, The Beatles, 8 Days a Week, The Touring Years, many other films. As a Blue Angels fan, as a guy who goes to air shows, I am so excited for this and to see what the magic that you bring to the big screen. So thank you again.
Yeah, bro.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on the show. It's great to be here.
But hey, and we started talking about your background, but yeah, so the audience, we were talking about Rant Blast and how I used to enjoy Rant Blast more than coming out the door. And Paul started saying, "Well, this is the pictures from you." And go ahead, man, tell everybody how you filmed it, and you guys were out in San Diego near Coronado working with Blue, working with the SEALs, and man.
We had a couple of times where we went up in the C-130. The first time we tried to shoot this, we opened the back of the door and something got loose in the back of the thing, and there was debris everywhere. So they had to quickly bring the door up, and we couldn't shoot that day. But this was in Hawaii, this particular shoot. They formed the diamond, not the diamond. They go with the six, the Delta formation behind the plane. And then they shoot a bunch of promos, and then we got to shoot them as ourselves with our guy. There's our guy there, Mike, camera people. He was fantastic, along with Jessica Young, our other DP. So we got to do crazy, fun things like this. That is cool, which was so good.
Did you have any experience?
San Diego, the SEALs jumped out.
Yeah, no, sorry, but I was just gonna say, did you have any experience with this type of aviation prior? Because I could just say, for me, I admire what the Blue Angels do, the Thunderbirds, but I would quite honestly be scared shitless getting in one of those and filming the way that you have. So what was your prior experience? Were you comfortable getting in there?
Yeah, I've been comfortable to a degree. I think the only thing I have problem with is equilibrium. I've got a very, very low threshold on getting dizzy. So that was the only thing I had to deal with. But once you get the paperwork in and you're good to go, it was just, it's getting the bet. You got to take it's exhilarating beyond, obviously you jump out of planes regularly, then it's a different thing. But for a person like myself, I've never done anything like this before. My father was in the Royal Air Force during his, national service, and the closest he got to a plane was the phone. So, so it wasn't really. I'd seen the Red Arrows though, which is like the English equivalent of the Blue Angels a few times. So, but no, nothing like this. Never done anything quite like this. And this was, as I say, it was so exhilarating. When that door goes down, and and the jets are there.
That is cool.
That's the coolest thing. It's like it's not they come into; they're already there. It was really tripping.
It's almost like you could probably, when you're on that ramp, and actually how far did the jump master, the load master, and the Air Force, they can get pretty, if you get a good load master though, sometimes they'll push the envelope. How far did they get it? You get to go on that ramp, man. Because the closer you get, you feel like you can reach out and touch him.
You can see where Cody is there.
Yeah.
So, and he's got a strap.
So
he's hooked in, and the same then with Mike. So once Cody was done doing his shots, Mike then ventured forward with, a big heavy camera too, and ventures forward, and he's on the tag, and he's shooting. And to be fair, I was just like, I've got my arms around the thing. I'm like, I'm not moving. I'm not taking any more pictures. I'm staying here now. So it was quite, as I say, just great. So many times through this shoot, all the things we did, I was just pinching myself. I couldn't believe I was in these situations this close, sitting with the Blue Angels in a debrief, walking, right next to them when they do the walk down, so we can film them up, standing on a elevated section so we can film them through the jet windows as they're getting into their jets ready to fly. Just, so cool. Just the coolest people too. You worry like how military, how aloof, or how strict and everything. It was just so laid back. Everyone was just the coolest. Everyone wanted to do the same thing, and basically it's like the Blue Angels. Do it the best you can do it, the best it can be, the best people wanting to get the best results. How do we achieve that? And that was just basically the mantra throughout the whole filming process. There definitely was, like training when you become a jet pilot or any member of the team, there's a level of trust you have to earn. and they need from you and you need from them to be able to do some of the things we ended up doing. And we established that very quickly. And it was really like total wonderful experience. Made me rethink my life. It's like, oh man, I wish I thought about this earlier. This might have been something I wanted to do when I was younger, because it was really, really exciting.
It's invigorating. And you're right. The teamwork when you're in the aviation with the aviators, or you get in the special operations, like you said, you were with the SEALs. And was that just filming? You were just filming, was that promo stuff so you could film them coming out of the ramp, or were you just, was that just, hey, let's just go right with the SEALs there and see what they do?
Well, basically what's happening is we're going to every show that's made, right? So
Yeah.
you got the show in San Diego, or you got the show in Virginia Beach, or wherever the shows might be. We're just getting the schedule, and it's like, oh, the SEALs are flying. Well, let's see if we can film that. That would be a great thing to have. So, then you just do the paperwork, you get everybody's permission, everybody, you have to go all the way up in the middle.
Yeah.
Get everybody's permission before you can do that. And you get that all signed off, and then we can do what we do the same kind of thing as this, get in the back of the plane, or as was in, can't remember where it was, it might have been San Francisco, when they did it, we had the helicopter. So the helicopter's following the C-130s, they jump out. That shot's in the film. So we get to see some of that. So that was, pretty cool stuff. And we shot like 3 times.
Oh, wow.
I was wondering, what was your vision for bringing this experience to the big screen? Because I like I've said, every year I go to the Jones Beach Air Show. It's either the Thunderbirds or the Blue Angels, and there's a ton of people who don't take advantage of the experience to see this. And I can't describe how amazing it is. And I even think if you put it on YouTube, it's not the same as being there. So how did you feel like, all right, IMAX experience, you're going to have great sound, you're going to have a great view of everything. Like what went through your head of how I want people to see this and be able to experience it as close as they can to what they would see live at an air show?
How can you get their heart racing, brother? That if they're not sitting in that cockpit.
Basically, you've got to think of the fact that we can all see the view, shooting the cameras, which we got some fantastic shots from vantage points in the, on the tarmac with the audiences and everything. But that's these shots, that's the view we all see, right? We all see that view when we go to the show. So we really wanted to be beyond that. So we're always looking for vantage points that were out of the general public's realm. And mostly, let's put us in the cockpit, or as close to the cockpit as we can possibly be, as close to the jets as we can possibly be all the time, within reason, and make it, especially with having IMAX, that that's the other side. Make it so as much of a ride that you can make it. So when you're in the jets, when you're in those moments, you're really, feeling like you're experiencing it in a, very visceral way, really feeling the power, feeling the height, feeling the size of everything.
Well, you want to feel, and I know what IMAX is, what it does is you want to feel your stomach coming up if you have those shots. I'm sure you do the shots where they're diving or they're coming up, and you want to feel your guts. Now, and it's not going to get turned inside out like the real pilots, but that's what I want to feel, and that's with the IMAX event, and I'm sure the way you filmed it, that's probably what you're going for, and that's what's going to happen. I mean, they wouldn't put out the product if it wasn't going to be like that. So
no,
I'm amazed, but I said I can't wait to see it. To be honest with you, it is an event, and it's with the Blue Angels being amazing as it is, and you got me. I was a Ranger, so I wasn't a SEAL, but I still, because you got the SEALs in there, I'm going to go see it just because I got buddies that were SEALs as well.
Hey, hope you guys are enjoying this interview with Paul Crowder. This Blue Angels film sounds like it's going to be action-packed. Actually, when I get off this, I'm going to write down the date again on my calendar, because I will make sure I am there. I'll be seeing the Blue Angels over next month. Actually, you'll be hearing this. So this month, the Memorial Day Air Show at Jones Beach. I'm just a huge fan, and I'm sure I'm going to be a huge fan of this film. Before we continue, Fort Scott Munitions is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition that is designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring they receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Check them out. They're a great sponsor of ours. They've been with us since the beginning,
Yeah.
and they're the best ammo on the market. FSM.com. Use the exclusive promo code BattleLine for 15% off your order. That's always good for listeners of this podcast. So returning customers, new customers, go there now. FSM.com. Promo code BattleLine, only available to listeners of the BattleLine podcast. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, BattleLine Tactical, and the BattleLine podcast. And now back to our exclusive interview with Paul Crowder, talking Blue Angels on IMAX exclusively May 17th.
Yeah, there was one thing, and we're going to jump back a little bit to your earlier career, and it was just a coincidence. I didn't know this. Two of my favorite movies, one's the documentary, the other one's the movie, is Dogtown, and the other one's Z-Boys. And I was like, oh my gosh, Dogtown. He was the and were you the editor?
Yeah.
Okay, editor. So I don't know if you got I don't know if you got to meet the guys, but I was one of Pablo Schreiber's early movies back then, and it was Dogtown. He's the one that played me in 13 Hours, and he was on the show about a month ago. And I was going to ask, did you have any? Because I was early in his career. For those that haven't seen Dogtown, that was a skateboarding movie back. That's what the Z-Boys were. Did you get any? Did you get to interact with Heath Ledger, or did you get to interact with Pablo even in his early days back when Dogtown came out, or was it just here's the film, edit it, or were you actually got to be part of that whole process, being there with the directors and making calls? Because I just, it's curious, because Pablo and I are still friends to this day, and if I can give him shit about something else, then hey, tell me. Tell me.
Sadly, no. I mean, I worked on the documentary with Stacey and all the
Stacy Peralta, yeah.
Stacey Peralta and everybody. I'd met Stacey in my fledgling years as an editor at a TV station. We were working for Fox, well, an independent company, but we were doing some stuff for Fox TV. Like very early days of reality TV. It was very funny. Close Calls, Cheating Death I was working on, and he was working on Disasters. Anyway, we meet, talk, we get put together on a show. We hit it off really well. He likes my style. And then he says, hey, I'm doing a film about my life. Did that. We went to Sundance. We won Sundance.
Yeah.
Best, audience favorite. He won Best Director. We won the Independent Spirit Award, which Stacey gave me.
Go for it. Yeah.
That's it. I wish we could get Stacy Peralta on the show. I know
Nice.
this isn't like a skateboard. Oh, that's incredible.
So that's the Independent Spirit Award. So first of all, gate. Anyway, so I did that, and I became. They made me a sort of honorary Z-boy as well.
Did they really?
Sundance, which was very cool. Which I will, it's on all my profiles. I always put Z-boy. And I got to meet Tony Alva and everybody at the time. But when the film came out, I wasn't involved with the movie. Obviously, Stacey and I stayed in touch, and we talked about things. And I went to an early screening, and then I went to the premiere. That was about as much as in touch I did with the actual Lords of Dogtown, which was the film version.
The total,
which I thought was excellent, and Heath was incredible. And I, met them all very briefly on that. But it was the documentary that I was really involved with.
And that was good. The Z-Boys, for those that haven't seen it, it's on Tubi. If you want to watch it, I watched it again. I still one of my favorite documentaries. It's tremendous. It's a wonderful documentary.
It's a double whammy because it's got a killer soundtrack of the era. We got all this incredible footage, and you just captured this, this era of America that was, multiple things happening at once, like a little bit of lightning in a bottle, all these things, the perfect storm of the drought and everything, empty pools, urethane wheels, and
that was cool.
Punk rock, all just came out and sort of set the tone for the rest of skateboarding. After that, completely changed what it was, and the movie really captures that well. It's just so much fun. That was like the most fun I had on a movie, probably, except for the exhilarating was certainly this one, the Blue Angels. I mean, that was just incredible.
All right, how did you go from? And I know that was years ago with the skateboarding, but how did you go from skateboarding to jets, man? I mean, it's quite a few years, but
adrenaline. We did. I've done soccer, Formula One racing, giant, big wave surfing. So a little bit on the adrenaline side is always a very, very much excitement for me. So anything to get involved, anything musical, as well. But I was, working with people. We got hooked up with Glenn Powell,
Okay.
and through J.J. Abrams, who I just finished a show. We did a show about UFOs for Showtime.
Oh, shocker. J.J. Abrams and UFOs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's a part of this film. He's a part of Blue Angels. So,
And then, so we're in talking. This film was came about and was on the cards, and we sort of like put the team together, and it was, I was just totally excited. We immediately got in touch with Kevin LaRosa, who shot all the aerial footage for Top Gun Maverick, and talked to him about the possibilities budget-wise and everything, because we're a documentary, much smaller budget. We've got very little to work with, and that's an expensive event. But we talked to Kevin, we got something worked out with him. We spoke to the military to get pylons so we could attach to one of the jets, so we could follow the jets with the pylons, use the same pylons from Top Gun Maverick, because they already approved, already machined and made, and Navy ready. So it was just redoing the paperwork on those. So we got to shoot 3 days with those, with Lance Benson, Bub, as they call him, and who was a former Blue Angel. He was in the 2015, 2016 team. Amazing chap. And he also helped coordinate the helicopter footage with the team, with Boss Kesselring and the whole team, who were just, I'm still friends and still text a lot of them right now. We're very much looking forward to seeing each other in Pensacola. There's we're having a premiere on the 16th.
So is that the big premiere? Or is that just for a select audience of military? Because that's some military films and documentaries, they do that, where they're just going to a base and saying, here.
Yeah, we're doing it at the IMAX theater, I think, in Pensacola, I believe. And that's officially the premiere for me. I think there's another sort of smaller event going to be in Los Angeles on the 18th. Nice. But Pensacola will be all the Blue Angels team, the military. I'm not sure how open it is to the public, if there are other tickets. I'm not sure how big the theater is. I'm pretty out of the loop. They just asked me if I would go.
Say, you have a seat, man. You're guaranteed a seat. You have to worry about
and
it.
I mean, for our audience, there's plenty of IMAXs around the theater, around the country, that you'll be able to see this at. I mean, I would just, we're talking Top Gun Maverick. I would just imagine, after the success of Top Gun Maverick, there is such a thirst for a movie like this, because it's funny, I was racking my brain, and the last thing in pop culture with the Blue Angels was that great Van Halen video, the Dreams video. But I mean, film has come such a long way since then that I think that's going to look so amateur compared to what you're putting out there.
Well, yeah, I mean, that still you had cockpit shots in that. You had shots underneath the plane, in that position. So you a few of those angles. And there's some high vantage point angles occasionally. And also Rob Stone, who was one of the producers on this and was also instrumental in getting this film made, along with boss Greg Waldridge. Two of them had worked together in the 90s on Blue Angels Around the World. And it follows them going to Russia and doing a show out there and everything. Incredible show. And boss Woolridge was the only boss to be boss 3 times, and the two of them wanted to make the 75th anniversary film, and that's how this started. And then of course, with however long it takes to do movies, it's now the 78th anniversary, but we're there anyway. So that's how that started. But what we have cockpit cameras. We're able to have the 360 camera inside the cockpit, as well as regular cameras. We had them underneath the planes. We had them on the wings in a couple of situations. Then we had the helicopter shots, which they've never ever allowed a civilian helicopter or anything within the parameters of the their maneuvers or in their demonstration. And that was highly coordinated, where we were given, okay, you can this box so many thousand feet, while they do this maneuver, and they're okay, we're going to go from here to here. There was one time on the very first day we had the helicopter, Whiskers, like fabulous chap, wonderful person, brilliant pilot as well. He had forgotten the helicopter was there. And so when they were doing the pitch up break at the end, and the 6 jets come in, he was the last jet. He suddenly, when 5 went out the way, he's like, oh, damn, helicopter. And you can, it's a subtle thing, but if you're a pilot and he really does had a reaction and avoid this thing that he didn't expect to see. So he'd forgotten that we were there. So we'd done a pretty good job of staying out their way, I guess, the whole shoot that day. But that was one of the interesting things, and one of the things that you have to, all these safety considerations that you have to take into gear. But I do remember being in the corridor after everybody came back from the flight. So, the helicopter landed, they all came back, did the walk back and everything. I was already up in the corridor. So when they came in, they went into the debrief room. I was in there and they passed me and they went, man, talking about Kevin LaRosa, that guy can pilot that thing. They were all super impressed with how adept Kevin LaRosa was at his job. And that made for us to be able to push the envelope a couple of times and get a little bit closer on the next 2 times we were out there. We had a lot of trouble with that, with the weather. The worst thing in the world is like it rains, they don't fly, or they have to do a low show. You got the helicopter, that's costing you a fortune. And we arrived like 7 a.m. to set up the cameras and get them ready. We had to climatize the cameras too because of the high humidity.
Yeah.
Okay. Couldn't set the cameras up indoors and bring them outside. They'd mist up. So we had to set them up outside and everything and get ready. So we were doing that 2 hours before. It's absolutely bucketing down with rain. We've got a covering, obviously, but it's just coming down. And then 9 o'clock rolls around, 9:10, they do the brief rather, for the thing. And it's just starting to stop. And then it breaks. And then by the end of the brief, they've got the weather and they're doing a high show. And because of how hot it can get in Pensacola, the humidity dries out the tarmac very, very quickly. We got the helicopter up, they do a full high show, we get the lot, come back down, clouds move in, starts raining again. And that happened 2 of the 3 days that we filmed. That was exactly how it went down. One day the clouds didn't break, sadly, and we lost a day. And then on the final day, we got to use the Phantom camera, which shoots at 1,000 frames a second. So no one had ever shot that before. So we get to be up in the air with these planes and get to look at some of these maneuvers, at 1,000 frames a second, which means a 10-second clip takes 6 minutes. So obviously we're not going to play the whole 10 seconds, but just the small little pieces you see, it's really just a beautiful shot. It really is great.
So you're getting stuff that's never been done before, as far as
doing absolutely.
Wow.
We're unprecedented access to not only the preparation and everything, but to in the air with them as well. Yes.
Wow, that's incredible. And you may have already answered the question when you told about. I was going to ask you about close calls, like because there's got to have been, aside from that one, other close calls just from the sheer, just from the what they do and flying close. But the safety, I know, is always in place. Safety is paramount in the military, especially when you're doing high risk stuff like that. But was there any other stories that you had besides the one where you almost, well, that's a pretty good story where the helicopter almost hit the jet, but
it was still far away, but it was in his peripheral vision. Suddenly, as he's flying along, I can't see.
Yeah.
There's a jet here he wasn't expecting. He's going to pitch up anyway and go that way. That's his natural thing, is to get out of the way. That's part of the maneuver. He just wasn't expecting it. So it was sort of like a bit of an extra whoo as he went off. Like, oh yeah, that's there.
Well, I mean, it looks like it, to you, but you got to remember these high speed. You're covering a football field in a second.
400 miles an hour, and then he's going to hit, he's going to pitch up to something like 7 Gs on that maneuver too. That he's prepping for that. He's prepping to get ready to bite down for the Gs. Helicopter. What? Oh yeah. And there was another maneuver that they did where they got the chopper in the place and they do the fan out. I can't remember. How foolish of me. I knew all these maneuvers, the name. But anyway, they fan out and the 4-jet comes straight at you. And the 4 times we shot that, they just got closer and closer. The Kevin got lower and Chomps, they talked about it. Like, I think you can go low. I think it's going to be okay. Obviously, you got to worry about shear and then wind blast up, if you get too close, all that stuff they have to consider. But I have to say that last time they shot it, and that's the shot we use in the film when it happens towards the end of the movie where it comes to you. You don't really get the sense of how close they are, but mate, he's right underneath it.
Wow. And
we were all wincing as we're looking up because we were right underneath it. We're like, damn, man, that was close.
Oh man,
And they were all like, "Woo, that was close." It came in. Not dangerous. It was all within the safety, realms. There was nothing like they didn't take any risks.
Of course.
But it was like, yeah, we got this. We know we can be this close, and that's the trust. Again, trust was there in everybody. So
well, and the training and the vetting that you go through to get to those levels. There's a reason they're at that levels. They've been through vetted and vetted and vetted where it's whittled down to where they are that good. And that's special operations. That's aviators. That's special operations aviation regiment and the Night Stalkers with the helicopter. That's just how amazing pilots are. That's why guys on the ground like myself, we love great pilots because
right.
They'll be right there, and they can put a bomb right in somebody's ear hole that when they're right next to us if we need them to. And that's,
I mean, that's the other side of it, right? Is that when you watch the Blue Angels and what you take away from the shows, and what I take away from the shows, like, and if you know that these guys are on tours, they're just they're 2-year, 3-year turnaround, so that they change a third of the team every year, every season. So a brand new third of the team of the 150 personnel.
Okay.
So, and that includes pilots. And the show the year we followed them was 3 new pilots. So you've got a new number 6 who hadn't flown. He'd been on the mic the year before, so he comes in new at number 6, new number 2, and a new number 3. And then Boss is his final year. Chomps is his final year in 4. Cheese, Jamami, and then Chewy and Whiskers.
Love call signs, man. I love call signs.
Aren't they the best?
Love.
We all had call signs in the team as well.
Oh, nice. What was your call sign?
Well, yeah, I was going to get to that. What is it?
Mine's ridiculous. Not much fun. Because I'm English, I was telling the guys the story about how hard it is to say my name in English here. Because if I say Paul, like I would in England, everyone goes, Pool. And I go, Paul. They go, oh, Paul. So so they started calling me Pool. So that became my call sign. I got that one. But we had Boots was the name of our camera girl because she always wore these boots. Yeah. And then Bridget Top was one of our producers. She was called Big Top. And I think that's as far. I can't remember the rest of them. But we all got little call signs from everyone. But they're always the best. But anyway, going back to the subject, the great thing about these pilots, that you see they're going back into the military, and your country's in good hands if you've got pilots at at their standard in your military. And with this much dedication to the cause. I mean, I'm not a military person. I don't like authority much. I'm a very rebellious person, if you like. I'm absolutely blown away and totally moved by everything. When revelry goes off and the trumpet hits at 8 o'clock, everyone stops whatever they're doing and they stop and salute. People driving on the base, they stop in the middle of a junction. I mean, it was absolutely moving. Really, really did completely change my outlook on that kind of thing.
That's awesome. I know we're limited on time here and we're coming to the end because you got other things you have to do. But I mean, the last thing I have is just what do you want people to get out of this when they're seeing the Blue Angels and they're seeing excellence truly in the way that you shot this? What do you hope audiences get from this?
Well, I mean, I think twofold. Look, I'll just say it from experience. I wish I'd had I'd been smart enough to think about, hey, let's do this. I'm going to go join the Navy. I'm going to join the Blue Angels because that looks like it's, just flying jets is going to be fun. So, what I hope they get out of it is the experience, the understanding, the experience, the dedication that they have to the cause. You're watching rookies learn how to fly within 12 inches of another jet at 400 miles an hour. No, a 4-ton jet, 400 miles an hour, 12 inches from your other, your the next jet. You have that trust in him. They have that trust in you. You have the ability. They have the ability. And it all happens because every single person within that team, the personnel, all the personnel that on the ground, make it happen. And there's trust at every level. They just get in the jets and fly. They don't do any checks themselves. It's been checked and they trust them. So what I hope that people take away is just what an incredible group of people these are every season that gets changed. What an incredible thing this is. and really enjoy the visceral experience of and getting as close to the Jets as you've never been before, and just really sort of get exhilarated. That's what I hope they take away from it. And those of you that are inclined, go join them. I would say they have so much for every one of those Blue Angels talk about how much they love being in that, how much they're going to miss it. You know, there's no level of like, hey, excuse me, Sergeant. All right, sir. All the hierarchy's gone. First name basis. Everyone's smiling. There's never a problem. No arguments. It's just a beautiful thing. And I hope we get all of that across because, you know, it was an incredible season, and to, you know, be able to do that with them really was amazing. And I thank them so much, all of them, from, you know, the bottom of my heart, for allowing us to get that close to them.
I appreciate, and I know our audience is they're going to go see the film. That our audience is a lot military heavy, military supportive, first responder supportive, of course, but just what you're saying, the excellence, the motivation, the teamwork that you're going to, and then I'm going for the exhilaration because I want to feel that, man. And
I hope
it sounds
we
like
get
you
there for you. You know, do see it in IMAX. It's only in the IMAX theaters for a week. It might move to the AMC after that. Then it's going to be on Amazon Prime from the 23rd. Okay. If you didn't get to see it on Amazon, on IMAX, and you have to watch it on the TV, get as close to the TV as you can.
Yeah, I would say to those people, go to the theater. It really will not be the same watching it at your house. I mean, it is great that Amazon is going to have it, but yeah, go to the IMAX. I certainly will be there.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, enjoy it, guys. I really hope you like it.
And, absolutely. Thanks, Paul. You know, I got to tell you real quick.
No,
you know,
it's funny. It's pool.
I'll tell you real quick before, because I know you got to go, is I was mentioning that Van Halen Dreams video, and they still play Dreams up there. As a fan, when I got that Van Halen greatest, videos DVD, I was so excited to pop that in and watch the Blue Angels video. And I guess they couldn't get permission. So it's just like live footage of them. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I want to see the Blue Angels, bro. So yeah, I'm really psyched to see this. Once again, guys, in theaters, May 17th on IMAX, followed, as Paul just said, in with Amazon Prime, on X at Paul_Crowder, on Instagram at The Real Paul Crowder. And thank you so much for doing this, man. I really appreciate it. I know it was a bit of back and forth between the people at Amazon and that you wanted to come on with us, and we wanted you on. So this means a lot to me. And
my pleasure, guys. I really appreciate you reaching out, and I'm glad we got there. And best to everyone. Have a great podcast. Good luck, everyone.
Thanks, Paul.
That's all for this episode of Battleline Podcast. But we're always posting new content on social media. Follow us on Instagram at Battleline Podcast and on Twitter at Battleline Pod. That's an order. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes up every Tuesday. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast platform of choice. Believe in yourself. Face all challenges head on. And as always, never quit.